comfortable spending time 30, 40 years or whatever until they get retired. And it becomes easy and comfortable. It becomes just your job to 8 to 5, and that's it. And becomes your salary and know how you can pay your stuff. And it's just very structured. And it's that once someone tell you that, I think that is one of the hardest question in life. It is, what do you want to do? And that blows your mind. Like that, you get so confused and so like, okay, I want to do this, but it takes you out of your completely comfort zone. And we as a humans, we are not good on that, right? We are not good for us to push you, to take you to that area. And for sure, when they ask you that stuff, and for sure when you think in your dreams, you put yourself to put a lot of barriers and a lot of walls, like, yeah, no, it is way too high. I'm so comfortable here and I'm so protected here. Me and my family are so protected here. Why should I go and try to go all the way there? I'm not even 100% sure that I'm going to be successful right there. So it's just a lot of work. And I think that's the good part. And that is what is very important for you. And I think that we talk about it this not long ago. And it also have a lot to be with your with the era that you are living on. And you see your baby boomers in one side, especially us, because we are pretty much in the same age. And then you see the millennials and the other stuff, and then the X, and see our kids and see how they dream and how they go for it, and they are not scared and they just go for it. And so you see the baby boomers and they are super comfortable and they are super fun and they're just retiring and perfect. But from the other side, you see the millennials, and you are right in the middle, and you want like a little bit of both. You want that confidence, but you want that dream as well. So it is hard, but it's definitely needed. Your coach and your mentor is definitely needed, so you don't get comfortable and you don't get bored and you get out of your comfort zone.
And I think I read an interesting article, which is true. I think to your point, the world is changing at an incredibly fast pace, right? So when we started work, definitely when I started my career, I came, I mean, I think my family were very supportive and great, absolutely. But it was in their mindset that to be successful, you go and join a big corporation, and then you kind of climb up the ladder, and everything's great. That's not the way the world works today
Anymore.
So times have changed, and it's gone from the industrial age as well, if you think way back, to where and there's lots of kind of theories around how people needed to be instructed, and you have this hierarchical the evolution of kind of hierarchy, etc., to now more flat organizations, to giving people more freedom, etc. And so, but with that, that's how coaching has become more popular as well. So to be able to and especially coach leaders how to be effective coaches, and how to effectively lead in such times where things are changing constantly. And and we also live in a world, I think, which is quite interesting, and maybe another topic for another time, but whereby I don't think you own your own work contract, I think, now, and you work, you search after different skills that you want to develop related to your strengths in your career to get where you want to go, not necessarily within that same company. So rather than looking at kind of just the walls, the confines of one company that you're working for at the moment, look at, your strengths, your interests, your goals, where you want to get to, and what skills can help you get there. Because I think one thing I've learned, and I think you've got experience of this as well, is that most companies out there are very quick to cut staff, cut employees. So I think as an employee, you need to think the same way. And I sent you some stuff on Business Model U, which is owning your own contract. And I'm certainly doing it at the moment. I've tried some other things, within my organization that I haven't had much experience around, that I want to do, but not that I'm necessarily going to stay with that same company. More that I want to build on that skill set. So.
You know what? I have seen it. I have kicked my back, thinking sometimes how easy it is to stay in the same company forever. And obviously the industry allow you to, because everybody that is in the oil and gas industry knows that this industry goes back and forth, and it's just part of the industry, right? But how is impact in my career the fact that I have experienced different managers, different industries, and how I'm able to go to different even cultures. How you go and sit down with someone, doesn't matter where they come from, and you're able to have that conversation one-on-one. And that is because I probably also being in the sales helps you, but it is definitely don't stick in the same thing over, like doing the same thing. It is unbelievable for me how people are like, oh, I just finish my career after 35 years, pretty much doing the same with the same company. So like, I admire, because you really need to have strength to do that as well. Because through your career, you have a lot of things that come around you that just catch your eyes, like, oh, wow, I want to do that. And to keep yourself on the same and keep a strength there, it is also good. So yeah, it is.
Yeah, and I think that's where coaching becomes quite important as well today, is because it's a lot more of a fluid, dynamic situation. To have somebody there who's going to really work with you to develop your strengths and help you achieve your goals. Regardless of your goal might be to stay with one company, something completely different. So
yeah. So we have some comments here. They say, so coach must be also certified and supervised, for sure. Let me see here. And Pedro also mentioned, give us their comfort, like he also was giving us a little bit. Pedro is also is my uncle. So he said mentoring is a long-term process, a long-term process based on mutual trust and respect. Coaching, on the other hand, is for a short period of time. Mentoring is more focused on creating an informal association between the mentor and mentee. Whereas coaching follows a more structured and formal approach. Just following a little bit what you were saying. And it's funny because in some point I thought that it was, no, I know my uncle is like, this was just for you. No, but it was perfect. It goes to the conversation. No, he goes like, don't worry, it was very good. A lot of people, I think they think there is the opposite.
Right.
That is the opposite, and because of what I read and the people that talk to me on it, they definitely think a little bit of the opposite. They think the coaching is a little bit more, I don't know, maybe because of the sports, they see them a little bit more freedom, a little more one-on-one, but mentoring, it looks more structured, more.
But even when you look at and there's been quite a lot of
yes,
stuff now written, especially here. I'm not sure in the States so much, but definitely in the UK, there's been a lot around what businesses can take from sport. So there's a very famous coach. So as you know, I'm very into rugby.
Yeah.
Very famous coach called Clyde Woodward, who's written a number of books on this topic, and actually has a website I can share as well, which is around coaching.
That's awesome.
He coached the England team to win the Rugby World Cup in 2003. However, before about 2001, rugby was amateur. So everybody had jobs, and he actually worked as a salesperson. So he was one of the leading salespeople in Xerox.
Wow.
And then he started his own business, and then he went on to coach the England rugby team, and now he advises on businesses, on sports, on different things. But his argument is that that there's a lot that you can learn from from sport to business and vice versa as well. He took a lot of things from business that can be applied to sport. And putting it in a very structured way. So he used marketing in rugby. He used influencing skills to get people on board, and this whole thing related to the strategy, so a clear vision, but then how do you coach people to be the best, be on board to achieve that vision, and how's that work in a team. So there's some interesting stuff out there.
So how do you think that having a coach and having a mentor have impact you? Do you talking a little bit more? I have a very high audience in my social media. They are young professionals, and as you mentioned at the beginning, culturally, there are some of them, they are probably more up to getting a coach, even pay for a coach, and there are others, they didn't grow up with it, or this is just a new boom for internet, they're just coming for you to have. So why you don't tell us a little bit about the impact that it had in yours, and then I give my point of view as well.
So I mean, up until this point, I didn't really, I knew obviously about coaching, but like you, I kind of, first thing I think about a coach, okay, I think about sport and everything else. But, and kind of went through my career without realizing that, I was being coached, and looking and reflecting and looking back, and that's, so coaches are, we've talked a lot about professional coaches, but the young professional, I think the first experience that most people get of a coach and being coached and having a good coach is through their leaders, is through their managers. And the really good leaders will take the time to implement what we've talked about, and coach people to really be their best, and really find out. I think it always, when I did more kind of operations management and leading quite large teams, it always amazed me how many people were in the wrong positions, in the wrong jobs, and just taking that time to sit down and understand, first of all, what you're interested in, and then finding out more about, okay, well, what are your strengths, and how can you kind of combine the both of them to be happy and achieve what you want to do, and then bring more value to the company ultimately. But now with the story I told about the my experience with a professional coach, and realizing I've been fortunate to have worked for a number of good leaders, and so being kind of coached throughout my career, it's had a huge impact on basically deciding the best, getting me into kind of account management, later into kind of more operations management, really working with people. That's really my strength and what I enjoy doing. So, and I wouldn't have been able to have those opportunities without having good leaders who are good coaches. But then equally as well, having good mentors as well, who I could turn to whenever I needed, and have a good discussion about different things throughout my career. When I'm anxious about something, or when I've got to a certain point and I think I want to make a change, and having that mentor, to have that discussion. But these things, it's not going to be handed to you on a plate. So as a young professional coming in, and I think nowadays, people are in a better position. There's a lot more information about kind of coaching, about leaders, who really should act as coaches, etc. For hopefully for people to get more access to good coaching and mentoring.
Yeah, that is for sure. I agree with you, and I guess that personally, when you get with your direct managers, and not even the direct managers, because I would say that the Chris, it was one of my mentors, and he was not my direct manager in any position, but I definitely look at him as someone that I look up to him, right? And it was very easy just to sit down, get a beer, and just, you know, talk about his experience, or maybe how you feel in that presentation, or maybe how the approach, you don't feel comfortable, what did you say or not say, and he will tell you, relax, it's good. um, it is good for a young professional to also identify that leader or that manager that he can become your mentor, or if he can offer a coach as well. But it is up to you to identify in your organization who can be the person that you can, like we talked in the past, or we talked not long ago, the person that you feel comfortable talking to, the person that they give the time, they take the time for you to talk to you about the things that you're going through, and give you good advice. In some point in Schlumberger, when we work in a Schlumberger, I don't know if you remember, they used to have in one of the 1,000 programs that they run there, a place where their elders just put their experience, and you're able to go through, read about it, especially with specific topics, with specific clients, and you just go in there and see how the problem, how they solve it. So for me, even that part, that it was not just a one-on-one with a person, even that part, just to read how someone else were able to solve a problem, or someone else was able to overcome a situation, it is part of, it's a part of mentorship. Like the books that you read, the articles that you read, the webinars, everything. Yep. You just have to be able to identify how that conversation you're having, that person that you're talking to, that book you're reading, that article you're reading, it makes you grow, and it makes you become a better person, a better career. But with this, and Schlumberger as well, one of the person that helped me a lot, it was a guy, a director called Dan Domaraki. That guy, it was unbelievable. It's the first time that I felt that someone sit down with me, looking in my eyes. What is it? What is it that, how are you? What is it that you need? How we can make you come into the group when I was working with ConocoPhillips and be better? What do you need? I know that it's overwhelming coming from your services, just jump into a huge company that said it's a Schlumberger, how we can guide you. And I was like, wow, you know, how important. And I have great managers, you know, with Gabriel Corcoran, it was amazing as well. We have so many different good managers that I don't think that they understand the impact they were given. Yep. But it's how you take it as well. So it is very good. And then
and I think one thing as well is you know, you raised some really good points, and some good people that I know as well that had an impact on my career. But I think one other thing that's important is to look beyond your own manager, leader. But good coaches don't they're not necessarily also leaders and managers. You know, they might be in other positions, especially as organizations get flatter and flatter these days. And but there's plenty of good people who maybe don't even realize that that they've got strengths in kind of coaching. As well as outside of your own organization. I remember when I first started my career, and now he's a really good friend, and I consider him a mentor as well. But I was working on an oil rig, and started having a conversation, and he helped me out a lot in my early career. It was a guy from, well, he was a consultant, but consulting for BP at the time. Mm-hmm. And he really helped. So you got to, and today you have LinkedIn, and you've got lots of ways that you can network and find different people. And just to throw in there as well, there are more structured things that you can take advantage of. So like, obviously in the oil and gas industry, the Society of Petroleum Engineers, they have a formal mentorship program that you can take advantage of. And I think other other kind of societies in different industries have a similar thing. So there, I think there's a wealth of, I think somebody put it, a wealth of resources that you can now take advantage of as well to get access to mentors and coaches.
So one of the last questions that you have there it was how to access a coach mentor without costing you the earth. For sure.
Yeah, well, a mentor shouldn't cost you anything. So a mentor is somebody that that you find that you develop a relationship over time. It's a long-term process, as we've already touched on. So mentor shouldn't cost. Now, there are programs like the SPE, which I think charge a little bit. It's not too much. So you can, if you don't have a mentor and you want to go there, then I don't think that's a huge amount of money. Now, for a coach, I mean, you can pay a lot of money for a professional coach. But I think there's also, that there's ways to get coaches, sometimes for free. Again, coming back to kind of networking, that there's good coaches, whether they realize that or not, sometimes they don't, that are within your organization or within your industry or kind of, network somewhere. So you can kind of utilize that maybe. Also going back, I think there was a comment about certifications. So there's a lot of good programs in different places around the world. And to become a coach, it's not just about taking training courses. You also need to build up experience. And so, as part of training to become a coach, then you need to build up that experience, and people will offer coaching for free while they're doing these courses and things. So there's that option as well available. And if anybody's interested, I'm welcome. I can help kind of point people in the right direction. So and there's more and more resources coming available, and we've sent some links that I'm sure you're going to include. But if anybody wants some further advice or help, then I'm willing to do that.
That's great. I when I download all the videos and the podcast, I normally put in the description all the links that you send me for the videos, for the articles, and for the books that you recommend. I try to get that from each interview. Also, if you have any questions, please follow Martin on his LinkedIn. You can find it as a Martin Solway, Solway. And we can answer as many questions as you want or as you need. I think Martin is going to be able to give you some kind of mentorship and coach. I heartily recommend it as well. It was one of my first for sure. Well, thank you very much. I don't know if you guys have any questions, have more comments. Let me read here. Karen mentioned, and there is a lot of more resources, yes, for sure. Online, humane, for sure. I'll let him answer that the coach or the mentor should for sure be humans. Supervise. Karen mentioned, yes, I also find myself sometimes stuck in the middle. Yes, definitely it is. I think that it have to be as well with the amount of information that we have right now. And we see, I was reading and looking at a little girl. I guess that she's 12 years old. She dropped out elementary school. She is a millionaire just selling and traveling, because that's what the parents did. They travel everywhere. You listen to this girl, and you cannot believe the vocabulary she had, the way how she expressed, and everything it was. And she get it is just traveling. It's just unbelievable, the things that you can find online, and how you can feel. Wow, how many barriers I put myself to get that dream, the dream of a job, the dream of doing something that I want, the dream of helping others or that type of things. It's just unbelievable. But also you need to be sure when you get with the coach to be able to listen. Sometimes we are going to listen something that we don't like. Sometimes, okay, if I get to this point in my life, it's like, okay, or like you say at the beginning, my dream it was to be a pilot. Now you drop off everything because I want to be a pilot. Like, well, slow down there. Slow down there. We can probably not go completely there, but maybe something similar together with something else. But yeah, getting a coach is not, sometimes it can be that one they will tell you maybe you need to find something else, or maybe you have to think and approach that dream in a different way. So
yeah, well, I think the good thing about from my experience with coaching, over the last kind of year especially, is that it forces you to think. So a mentor might give you advice. A coach will say, okay, well, that's your dream. So why can't you do that? What's stopping you? And there's several models. Grow model is a famous model, and there's all these kind of things, and you can do it by yourself. But where a coach comes in is that they will really push you to say, okay, well, what's your dream? And important. I think you raised it before. Instead of saying, okay, well, what do you want to do in your career? Is what's your purpose? And that's something that I kind of I'd never really thought about until until working with the coach that I've been working with the last kind of few months. I'm like, well, okay,
that's a crazy question.
What is my purpose?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's kind of what led me to this interest in coaching, is because when I look back on my career, even though I did a lot of account management and kind of growing businesses and that kind of thing, I always kind of felt, okay, I like growing businesses. Well, actually, when I look back, what I most enjoyed was helping other people be successful, right? And identifying kind of their talents, their strengths, and what I got most kind of pleasure from was seeing other people achieve their goals and their aims. So that's kind of what led me to this interest. So,
it's funny that you mentioned, because with all these interviews that I have doing and talking to people after getting laid off, and reading and going through just to be able to have the conversation and to do the interview and everything, I realized I have always tell you how I like marketing, how I want to move a little bit to marketing. And now I've been reading and I have seen how I enjoy more that leadership and that talking to people more like in a let me guide you to come, let's go here. Like it is fascinating how you can really change when you expand or you see yourself in a situation where, okay, if it is not a company, if I cannot get into a company right now, what I can do, and you start opening your mind and you have to look into different things. So one of there are a lot of questions that I got is I have a lot of young geologists on it on my community, and they ask you, like, what should I do? Should I change my career? Should I change my approach? I just graduated. They thought they were getting into oil and gas industry, and some of them got, and they lose their job like 3 weeks, 4 weeks after they started, and they feel a little bit lost. And definitely a coach, definitely a mentor will help you to go through that hard time and probably take a different approach that you don't even consider at the moment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's it's amazing how many opportunities are out there that you sometimes need a fresh perspective to kind of help you, guide you in that direction. But and kind of one last, I think something I've learned is that there are all these resources. You can go and spend a lot of money on coaching. You can get mentors and everything else, but right into you want to get out of
Martin, you're cutting off. I'm sorry.
Have clear goals of.
Martin, I lost you for a little bit. Really sorry.
Hello.
Okay.
Am I back?
Yeah, you are. I'm sorry. I don't think that I heard the last 30 seconds.
No, I was just saying, make sure you have a plan in terms of you know, if you coaching is short term, as your uncle as well quite rightly said. So and sometimes if you do want to pay for it, it can cost some money. So make sure you get you do it for the right reasons, and you have a particular goal in mind, and you get what you want out of it.
Well, guys, if you don't have any other questions, any other comments, say, Denise, what is a good tip to reduce anxiety and nervousness during an interview? What does he recommend besides looking into the company? Breathe. Do you have any advice for that? When you get anxious and nervous during an interview, I sweat. No, I'm joking. Do you have any techniques that you use, or anything that you do before you go to an interview that it can help? You froze, Martin. I'm sorry. We lose you?
Yeah.
Okay. You froze with a very funny face, smiling. Can you hear me? Hello, hello. There you go.
Hey, yeah.
Okay.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you're back.
I'm back. Okay. Yeah. So some tips for interviews. Interesting ones. So yeah, I think the best is to I mean, it's always I got very anxious going into interviews as well. I think you just need to learn to try and relax and just be yourself. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all humans, and most interviews that I've experienced aren't as bad as you think they're going to be. And it usually turns out to be a good discussion. So try and be yourself, and be relaxed, and if you've done the preparation, then
I think that what helps me the most is to understand that you can be honest. There is nothing wrong with not knowing. There is nothing wrong to say, I'll be back with you on that. Don't be scared of not knowing, because that's what you get more anxious. When you understand and you grow up and you are confident about what you're gonna talk about, confident that you have the information you need to, and it is okay. I think that what is more nervous is, what about if I don't know? It is okay to don't know. Okay, just relax.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, understand that is fine for you to say, oh, well, I will have to come back to you on that. I don't have it with me at the moment, but I definitely come back to you on that, and just be honest. I think one of the most important thing, and you feel it in the interviewer, feel it, is you need to be honest. Be honest with the things you know, with the things you don't know, and be yourself. At the beginning, it's stressful, but the minutes pass, you realize how, oh, I can do this.
Well, and I think that's good. I think from I've been on both ends. I've interviewed quite a lot of people as well, and I think you have to remember, from the people interviewing, they're looking for potential, so they don't necessarily expect you to, and certainly when I was interviewing people, I didn't necessarily want somebody who had all the answers. I'm kind of interested more in somebody that has the potential, and is willing to learn, and kind of be a bit of a sponge, and not afraid to ask questions, and I
have when I saw this lady, she's a comedian, with the comments, she mentioned she was doing an interview to a lady, and for her, it is not about what you knew or what you don't, because you always can learn that type of things. It's for her to see your personality. And I think that we were talking about that, how you react to different situations. And and that type of personality, that type of driving person, you cannot teach that thing. That person have to come with that already. So that's where they are looking at, and a person is how driven you are to be a team member, how driven you are to help others, or to, you know, get that goal and be driving and, you know, get to that point that bring the company up. Every other technical things you can always learn it, or you can always support in a paper or whatever, but how do you pass that information is what is important.
Yeah.
I mentioned this because we did have a very horrible experience in the past when we met someone, and he felt himself as someone, and then when he get a couple of drinks, he was someone else. And it seems that we always have that person in each company. But yeah, they're looking for that. So honesty for sure. Be yourself and be positive, and that would take you to any kind of interview.
And the other thing is, remember that you're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. So it's important that you come with questions, and that you ask as much. You have to be comfortable going into that company too. So it's it's a two-way thing. I think that's really important.
For sure. Well, guys, thank you very much. I normally try to have these these interviews like probably 45 minutes, but we went over an hour. Martin and I tend to do this, just talk and talk and talk.
Yeah,
and talk for hours. But thank you very much. Thank you, Martin, for your time and for your knowledge. I'm sure that we're gonna have you back. For any other reason, I figured it out, but I have you back for sure.
Anytime. Yeah, it's fun.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
All right.
Bye-bye.